Kingdom concepts help us understand the Bible from God's perspective instead of from man's. Man's perspective is religious. Yeshua came preaching his kingdom. This is why we must read the scriptures asking two questions. One, what did God say? And two, what did he mean when he said it? Asking to understand from God's perspective means we often must unlearn what we were taught in our religion. The way for us to attain the answers to those questions is for us to study His words in Hebrew and Greek, the two languages the Bible is written in, and to also learn about the culture in which the scriptures were written. The culture changed only a little during the time Yahweh was inspiring His written word. Today's Western culture is much different from the culture of biblical times. We must be careful not to view the scripture from our current culture or location. Also, the Bible is Israel and Jerusalem centric, from Genesis to Revelation, although its words pertain to God's people who are scattered all over the globe. We must study the context of the passages so as not to create doctrine by extrapolation. What is doctrine by extrapolation? It is the stringing of verses or a few verses together from chapter to chapter, book to book, even stringing phrases only from verse to verse, chapter to chapter, and book to book, taken out of context to create a doctrine. Extrapolated doctrines is how the Bible can be made to say anything we want. We must understand that God never changes. Therefore, His words never change in their meanings from Genesis to Revelation. The meaning of His words expand over time, and there is progressive revelations, but the original meanings never change. Understand that God uses patterns to teach us. There is no way a person can memorize the Bible from beginning to end. Some people memorize more verses and others less, but if we know the patterns and the stories from beginning to end, we will have no need to toil at memorizing scriptures to the point of exhaustion. Understanding does not come from memorization. This does not mean memorization is unneeded. We will automatically memorize scriptures as we study the patterns from the biblical accounts. This is inevitable and is the best way to memorize the Bible. Once we know the stories from beginning to end and can see the patterns, rest assured no one can take away our knowledge, even if our Bibles are confiscated. View the Bible as one story, the story of Israel. The book of Genesis sets up broad accounts of the times before and after the flood, narrowing the story down to one man and his descendants, who will become the people of God's kingdom, for it is His kingdom which He is creating on earth. The focus then is on Israel, Jacob's nation comprised of 12 sons. It is not focused on the world at large, even though the Bible describes the interactions between Israel and the world. Then notice how the Bible broadens with details of the account of Israel, of how the ancient Israelites failed in their calling to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation to Yahweh, until the focus narrows again in the book of Revelation when, at the end of Revelation, Yahweh attains His kingdom, which He is trying to get from the beginning in Genesis. Adam failed, Israel failed, but Yeshua the Messiah did not fail, and in the end, he will bring the earth full circle back to his Plan A with the Garden of Eden. Plan A is his kingdom on earth, over which he will rule and reign forever. Studying in this manner opens the Bible to us. The Bible is not a book of mysteries. It is a book of knowledge of God, Yahweh, and his plans. We are blessed to be the people he called to understand what he said, what he still says, and what he has planned for his people. It is all in the Bible, which was written for his people, but more specifically, it was written to the last generation, who will need to know these things.